What if I told you that Amish women managing 60-acre farms alone have developed time systems that outperform modern efficiency models? Most people think you need machinery and crews, but the reality involves task sequencing perfected over generations. And today I'm showing you 10 of them. The priority board system. Here's something you've probably never considered. Amish women use a physical wooden board with movable pegs to track daily tasks by true priority, not urgency. This practice started in Ohio in the 1930s when women managing farms alone needed clarity over chaos. Modern productivity research from 2020 confirms that visual task management reduces decision fatigue by 47% and improves completion rates. They simply move pegs from today to done as work finishes. No phones, no apps, just accountability you can touch. The sunrise task anchoring. Let me ask you something. When do you start your hardest work? Amish women in Pennsylvania developed a principle in the 1910s. Complete the physically hardest task within 1 hour of sunrise, before heat and fatigue compound difficulty. Research from Stanford's productivity lab validates this completely. Cortisol and physical energy peak in early morning, making hard tasks 34% easier than afternoon attempts. The method is brilliantly simple. Identify yesterday what tomorrow's hardest task will be. Wake at 5 a.m., complete it first. This disappeared when electric lights made schedules flexible, but your body's natural rhythm hasn't changed. The 3-day canning. What if I told you one Amish woman can process an entire garden's harvest in 72 hours while modern homesteaders take weeks? The secret is batch processing in concentrated sessions rather than daily small batches. Women in Indiana perfected this in the 1890s during harvest season. They preserve everything in 3-day marathons using assembly line efficiency that eliminates setup waste. Here's the science. Task switching costs 40% productivity, according to 2018 cognitive research. Staying in one mode for 3 days maintains momentum and muscle memory. Set up once. Sterilize 100 jars, prep all produce, work dawn to dusk for 3 days straight. You process 500 plus jars because you never break rhythm. Commercial culture says spread work out, but concentrated effort eliminates the friction of starting over daily.
The children's graduated this one sounds simple until you see how strategically it's implemented. Amish mothers assign farm tasks based on precise capability development, not age or convenience. This system became formalized in Lancaster County around 1920 when labor shortages required children to genuinely contribute, not just participate. Here's what developmental psychology confirms. Competence builds confidence, which builds independence. A 5-year-old collecting eggs isn't cute help. She's learning livestock observation skills she'll use at 15 managing the entire flock. Modern research from 2019 showed that children with graduated real responsibility developed problem-solving skills 67% faster than those given chores without clear purpose or progression. The progression is calculated: age 5, egg collection and garden watering; age 8, feeding schedules and produce harvesting; age 12, meal preparation and animal health monitoring; age 15, independent management of entire farm systems. They're not babysitting children, they're training farmers who reduce mom's workload proportionally to their growing capability. The self-feeding livestock layout, now here's where it gets really interesting. Amish women who manage farms alone arrange barns and pastures so animals largely feed themselves through rotational access systems. Women in northern Indiana developed this in the 1870s when husbands left for weeks doing construction work in growing cities. The science is actually remarkable. Animals are naturally motivated to forage. By creating rotational paddocks with sequential gate access and self-serve hay feeders, you eliminate 80% of daily feeding labor while improving animal health through movement and fresh forage. Research from the University of Wisconsin in 2020 proved this completely. Rotational self-feeding systems reduced daily core time from 3.5 hours to 45 minutes, while livestock showed better body condition and lower stress markers. The pattern requires initial setup but minimal daily work. Divide pastures into sections with simple gates. Open one section daily while closing yesterday's. Position hay and mineral feeders centrally accessible to all rotations. Animals learn the pattern within days and move themselves to fresh ground. You're orchestrating, not serving. Electric fencing made this seem outdated. but you're still doing the work instead of designing systems that work for you. The kitchen garden. This is going to sound obvious until you realize how few modern homesteaders actually do it. Amish women place their kitchen gardens within 50 feet of the kitchen door, not out in pretty locations or where soil happens to be best. This practice has roots in German traditions from the 1740s, and it persists because proximity eliminates the friction that kills productivity. Here's what's actually happening. Every minute of walking to a garden is a minute not harvesting, weeding, or preserving. Over a growing season, a garden 200 feet away costs you 45 hours of walking time compared to 130 feet away. That's an entire work week lost to transportation. A 2017 study from Michigan State tracked actual time use on homesteads. Women with adjacent kitchen gardens harvested 3.2 times per day and wasted almost nothing. Women with distant gardens harvested once daily and lost 23% of produce to overmaturity or pest damage because they didn't see problems developing. The application is simple but requires discipline. Place your most used vegetables and herbs right outside the door you use most. Put grain fields and storage crops in better soil further away. You check an adjacent garden while coffee brews. You grab fresh herbs while dinner cooks. You notice the cabbage worm outbreak on day 1 instead of day 5. Modern homesteading puts gardens where they photograph beautifully, but you're optimizing for Instagram instead of efficiency. This practice faded when farms became hobbies rather than survival, but time is still the most valuable resource you have. The seasonal task, let me ask you something most people never consider. How do you remember everything that needs doing? Amish women don't rely on memory or improvisation. They maintain detailed seasonal calendars passed down through families that specify exactly what gets done each week of the year. Women in Ohio's Geauga County documented this system in farm journals from 1895, creating templates that remove decision making from an already overwhelming workload. Here's the brilliant psychology behind it. Decision fatigue is real and measurable. Every time you stop to figure out what needs doing next, you burn mental energy and waste time. A predetermined calendar eliminates decisions and creates automatic momentum. Research from the University of Pennsylvania in 2019 studied task management across different systems. People using seasonal calendars completed 52% more tasks and reported 38% lower stress levels than those working from daily to-do lists or memory alone. The application requires one-time setup with massive ongoing payoff. Divide the year into weekly blocks. Document what your farm requires each week. First week of March, plant peas. Second week, repair fencing. Third week, start tomato seeds. Fourth week, prune fruit trees. Be specific, not vague. The calendar lives in the kitchen where you see it daily. You don't wonder what to do. You simply execute what the week requires. Unexpected emergencies still happen, but 80% of farm work follows predictable seasonal patterns. Modern life valorizes flexibility and spontaneity, but you're reinventing the wheel every morning instead of following a proven map. Week 1 focuses on one woman's farm. The entire group processes her garden harvest, putting up 400 jars in 3 days. Week 2, they move to the next farm and repeat. By rotating through all farms over 8 weeks, everyone receives concentrated help during critical seasons. No money changes hands, only labor for labor. The work is divided by competency, not equality. The fastest tomato peeler does only that. The steadiest hands fill jars. Everyone works in their zone of highest efficiency, creating specialization benefits normally only available to commercial operations. Modern homesteading culture celebrates self-sufficiency as the ultimate goal, but you're handicapping yourself by refusing strategic help. True self-sufficiency isn't isolation, it's building reciprocal systems, where everyone rises together.